1998 introduced us to one of the most beloved LEGO themes of all time, adventurers. That first year took us through the tombs and temples of ancient Egypt in search of the mystical Regal Ruby. In 1999, we ventured deep into the Amazon, where the mysterious sun disk was our quarry. Both of these waves as a whole were almost universally praised, and rightfully so. But for Johnny Thunder's third outing, LEGO decided to take things in a completely different direction. No magical MacGuffin this time. This time, our treasure would be studying real-live dinosaurs? I applaud LEGO for trying something new, but did they bite off more than they could chew? Well, that's what we're going to try to find out in Season 3 of our Adventurers Retrospective. So, grab your slouch hat, curl your mustache, and buckle up as we begin our expedition to the strange and mysterious Dino Island. Welcome to Trikbrix. Hello again, everyone. I'm Jamie, and on this long-awaited day, we're going to rejoin our favorite treasure hunter for a little adventure on Dino Island. In this third season of the Adventurers Retrospective, we take a step away from the Indiana Jones-inspired storylines that fueled Johnny Thunder's first two excursions, and instead find ourselves with something more akin to a mashup of Jurassic Park and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World. And I have to be honest with you guys right up front. Dino Island is my least favorite Adventurers sub-theme. It just doesn't grab me the way the other three do, and there's no way to sugarcoat that. Just like the films they were trying to emulate, the first two waves of Adventurers both had a touch of fantasy, but Dino Island is 100% pure, uninhibited make-believe, undoubtedly trying to capitalize on the success of the aforementioned Jurassic Park films. But all of that isn't to say that there aren't some great sets to check out, and we're going to start with what's probably my personal favorite of the sub-theme, set number 5935, the Island Hopper. Released, as were all of the Dino Island offerings, in the year 2000, it contains 205 pieces, one minifigure, and originally retailed for $20. Today, that would be about $37. Here's a quick look at the instructions, showcasing the box art on the front. They're pretty standard, however, one cool thing about some of the Dino Island instruction manuals is that not only did they show pictures of alternate builds, they actually include instructions for them, and a little comic explaining how you might use each one from a story perspective. And in addition to that, we get a nice little informational section about real-life dinosaurs, complete with some different stats and the set numbers in which each dinosaur could be found. These are just little things, but I really appreciate it when LEGO goes the extra mile. Now, let's check out the real thing. LEGO has made a lot of airplanes over the years. Like, a lot. But there's something about this one, to me, that really stands out. And according to this issue of LEGO Mania magazine, the Island Hopper is the whole reason Johnny ends up on Dino Island, having crash-landed it while chasing down Baron von Barron, aka Sam Sinister. Interestingly though, we don't get either of those characters in this set. Instead, we're graced with the one and only Miss Gale Storm. Her outfit is identical to the one we saw her wearing in the Amazon sub-theme, with one important exception. In place of her usual white pith helmet, here we get a flight cap and goggles. Other than that, same face print, same torso, and same red pants. For accessories, she's given an opening backpack, always cool to get, and her trusty film camera, complete with a brand new film tile depicting Johnny getting stalked by a T-Rex. There are a few other accessories included, but we'll get to those in a moment. The thing that surprised me most about the Island Hopper the first time I built it is the size. You can see, when compared to all of the other Adventurers planes we've looked at so far, it's much more substantial than any of them. Another thing you'll notice with these side by side is that the Island Hopper is quite a bit more modern. In fact, it's a little too modern to be from the 1920s, which is when the story is supposed to take place. But again, we also have living dinosaurs running around, so I don't think realism and historical accuracy were super high on the priority list in this sub-theme. There's quite a few different colors going on here, and while I don't think it looks bad by any means, I think a cleaner look could maybe be achieved with a few swap outs, most notably these little bits of green and tan. But again, I don't think it's too big of an issue. You could almost see the green here on the pontoons as algae buildup. I am going to make a few mods toward the end of the video though, so stay tuned if you're interested in seeing that. Even though it doesn't quite fit the time period, for what it is, the shaping of the fuselage is spot on, and the larger size really lends itself to a more accurate representation than we would normally see from LEGO at the time. The power comes in the form of twin rotary engines equipped with these large triple-bladed props. In Old Brown, these only came in 4 sets, 3 of which were actually from the Adventurers theme. They were initially developed for the Rock Raiders tunnel transport from the previous year. 2 nitpicks I have here is this very obvious gap and the equally obvious blue peeking out from behind the engine. The wingspan is impressive at nearly a foot wide, or about 30 centimeters, and if you're careful not to accidentally disassemble the somewhat flimsy connection, you're able to swing them up into a landed position. You just kinda need to hold it right where these tiles are so everything doesn't fall apart, like this. Maybe this was intentional, since the story goes that Johnny and the crew crash land on Dino Island were able to replicate that by easily pulling the wings off, as well as pop off this tile so the whole tail section can fall off. And even though we can't actually fit everyone in the plane, it's still fun to have the ability to play the scene out. Moving to the cockpit, which can be accessed by lifting the roof, we can see it's pretty simple inside, with just a seat and 2 control sticks. I like the addition of the side windows and the fact that it's fairly spacious in here. However, some kind of printed controls or gauges would have been nice, especially since there's room for them. Speaking of spacious, take a look at the cargo area. This section can be flipped up, and this piece is just held on by a few studs. Quick side note, this element in light gray only came in one other set, 6459 Fuel Truck from Spaceport. There's enough room in here to fit tons of weapons and accessories. We get these 2 in addition to the backpack and camera. And you can even fit one of these crates in if you have a spare one on hand. It's possible to squeeze in an additional minifigure as well, but they're going to need to lay down the whole trip. But at least they can look out these side windows. This plane isn't flying the skies above Dino Island alone. For the first time ever, not counting Duplo, LEGO gave us molded dinosaurs. Looking back, these can't compete with modern molds, but you gotta remember, we'd never seen anything like this before. All told, we would end up with 4 different species in various colors. And for the Island Hopper, we got the pterodactyl in dark orange, which also came in 2 other sets, making it the most common of the 3 available colors. The other 2 being tan and red. Of course, when we were kids, we definitely want someone riding this, and LEGO was kind enough to provide a few studs here on his back for just such an occasion. The feet can be clipped to or hold any bar piece, and the bottom has anti-studs. The molded details are soft and sparse, with not a speck of printing, which was pretty standard for animals and creatures at the time. At the end of the day, nothing to write home about, but certainly a cool little addition. I love this set way more than I thought I would. I think it's the most realistic one of the entire wave, which is probably why I like it so much. It's easy to see this being used for dozens of adventures all over the world, not just Dino Island, and its few flaws are overshadowed by a great concept, good execution, and huge play potential. And the great thing is, it's not going to break the bank should you decide to pick one up. At the time of this recording, a used copy can usually be had for $30 to $40, and even if you're looking for a brand new sealed copy, you won't need to sell your firstborn. About $120 should do the trick. So I totally recommend this, even if you're not into Dino Island. However, there are a few things I'd like to change because I feel like the set is worth upgrading. Just a few very simple modifications can be made to make it a bit more cohesive from a design perspective, and at the same time, a little more realistic. If the designer modeled this on a real plane, a good guess as to which one would be the Grumman Albatross from the late 1940s, so that's what I'll be basing my upgrades on. First, a few mods that don't even require any extra pieces. The trailing edge of the wing should be swept forward, so just swap them from side to side, like so. The pontoon should be spaced away from the fuselage, closer to the wingtips. Another super easy fix, and it strangely makes the plane look bigger in my eyes, which is an added bonus. Next, this tail fin. I'm not sure why they decided to use black, and it's far too sleek and modern. Luckily for us, a more period-correct element is available, and even better, it comes in red. You can pick one of these up on Bricklink for like 20 cents. Light gray would have been my preferred choice, but unfortunately it never came in that color. Even so, I think this looks way better already, without even changing anything else. But if you want, you can take it even further. With very little effort, these bits of green, blue, and tan can be swapped out for parts you probably already have in your collection. Just keep in mind that the gray here is old light gray. If you'd like to retain the folding wing feature, there's not a whole lot you can do about this gap. But if not, some red or light gray slopes will cover it nicely. Lastly, if you'd like to display this on land, adding landing gear can be achieved in a variety of ways. I chose to go with this setup since it's easy to revert back to the default look of the set. Obviously, you could build way more realistic gear with struts and everything, but when I mod these old sets, I try to stick to the build style and parts that were available at the time of its release, so anything I add doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. And here she is, ready for any high-flying adventure you can dream up. Oh, wait, one last change. Sorry, Gail, we love you, but that's better. Thanks for watching, everyone. There'll be plenty more to explore on Dino Island in the future, but until then, take care and play well.